The afternoon sun streamed through the living room window, casting long shadows across the floor. I was sprawled on the couch, flipping through channels mindlessly, trying to find something worth watching. Just as I settled on an old episode of The Office, I heard a frantic knock on the door. "Alex! Open up!" Mike's voice came through the wood, laced with urgency. I shot up, startled. It was unusual for him to show up unannounced. "What the hell?" I muttered to myself as I hurried to the door and swung it open. Mike stood there, his shirt slightly wrinkled, sweat glistening on his forehead. "Thank God. I thought you weren't home," he exclaimed, practically bursting into the living room. "What's going on?" I asked, trying to gauge the situation. "I can't find it, man." "I really can't," he said, his voice shaky as he raked his hands through his hair. "Can't find what?" He turned to me, his eyes wide and desperate. "The ring. My family ring. It's gone." "Your family ring?" I frowned, trying to recall the last time I had seen it. "When was the last time you had it?" Mike paced the room, his mind racing. "I had it when I came over last week for the game. I remember showing it to you. It's been in my family for generations, Alex. I can't lose it." Panic spread across his face, and for a moment, I felt a twinge of sympathy. "Okay, let's retrace your steps. Where did you check?" "I've looked everywhere, my car, my office, even the bar down the street. But I haven't looked here," he replied, stopping to look at me, his expression hopeful. "All right, let's start searching," I said, the gravity of the situation settling in. Mike's family ring wasn't just a piece of jewelry, it was a legacy, something that held sentimental value beyond its material worth. We began tearing the living room apart, moving furniture and flipping cushions. I could feel the tension building in the air as he muttered to himself, barely coherent. "Maybe I dropped it when we were watching the game." "Did you see it on the floor?" he asked, frustration creeping into his voice. "I don't remember seeing it, but I wasn't really paying attention," I admitted, my mind drifting back to that night. Mike had been animated, talking about his favorite players and stats while I sipped my drink, nodding along. "Damn it," he yelled, kicking the edge of the coffee table. "I'm going to get in so much trouble for this." "Just take a deep breath," I said, trying to keep the situation under control. "Let's look everywhere. I'll check under the couch." I bent down and felt around the dust-covered floor beneath the couch. "Nothing here," I said, shifting my attention to the nearby bookshelf. Maybe it fell behind something. As I reached behind the books, I noticed the shadow of my bed creeping into the corner of my eye. "What about under the bed?" I suggested, glancing at Mike. "I doubt it," he said, but I could see the spark of hope in his eyes. "Let's just check," I insisted, crawling over to the edge of my bed. I hesitated for a moment, a strange feeling creeping over me as I reached my hand beneath the frame. It felt dusty and cold, but then I touched something hard and cool. I pulled it out slowly, my heart sinking as I recognized it instantly. "Mike, I think I found it," I said, holding it up. His eyes widened, and he jumped to his feet. "No way. You're kidding." "Where was it?" "Under my bed," I said, my voice wavering. I could see the relief wash over him, but a part of me felt uneasy. He snatched the ring from my hand, inspecting it like it was the Holy Grail. "I can't believe it." "Thank you, man." "I was freaking out," he said, his voice a mix of joy and disbelief. How did it get here?" I asked, a question lingering in the air between us. "I don't know. Maybe I had it on when I was here last week," he suggested, though I could hear the uncertainty in his tone. "That's possible, but I don't remember seeing it." "Are you sure you didn't take it off?" Mike looked at me, and for a fleeting moment, there was a flicker of something in his eyes, a shadow of guilt, perhaps. I might have taken it off to eat or something," he said quickly, brushing it off. "I just really need to get going. My dad's going to kill me if I don't show up for dinner." I nodded, feeling the knot of suspicion tighten in my stomach. "All right, man. Just be careful with it." As he left, I stood in the doorway, watching him walk away, the sun casting long shadows behind him. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off, but I brushed it aside, convincing myself I was just overthinking it. After all, Mike was my best friend. How could he betray me? But as I closed the door and returned to the living room, the nagging doubt lingered, planting a seed of unease deep within me. The days that followed Mike's frantic visit felt heavy with unspoken tension. I found myself replaying that afternoon in my head, the uneasiness of Mike's visit mixing with thoughts of Laura, who was still away at her yoga retreat. Her texts were sporadic, filled with updates about her classes and the peaceful atmosphere of the retreat center, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. On a Tuesday afternoon, I received a text from Mike. "Hey man, sorry again for freaking out the other day. You really saved my ass. Let's grab a drink soon." I stared at my phone, my heart racing. Should I forgive him? Could I overlook the unease I felt? I tapped out a response, "Sure. Just let me know when." But deep down, I was grappling with the truth that had started to gnaw at me. How did his ring end up under my bed? That evening, I decided to confront Laura. She'd be back soon, and I wanted to have everything out in the open. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow across our living room, I set the stage for what I feared would be a difficult conversation. When she finally walked through the door, her hair was pulled back in a messy bun, and she radiated a sense of calm I could only envy. "Hey, love. I missed you," she exclaimed, her smile bright. I forced a smile back. "Welcome home. How was the retreat?" "It was amazing. The meditation, the yoga, the fresh air, everything was just perfect." "I really needed it," she said, placing her bag down. "I'm glad to hear that." I hesitated, knowing that I had to breach the subject. "I wanted to talk to you about something. Something important." She tilted her head, concern etching her brow. "What is it?" I took a deep breath, steadying myself. "Mike came by last week. He was looking for his family ring. We found it under the bed." Laura's expression shifted, her eyes widening for a brief moment before she masked her surprise. "Oh. That's strange. How did it end up there?" "I don't know," I replied, my voice low. "That's what I wanted to ask you. Were you here last week when he came over?" She shifted, her body language suddenly tense. "I don't remember. I was busy with my retreat planning." "Why do you ask?" "Just curious, I guess." I watched her carefully. "But it feels odd, don't you think? That it was under our bed." A moment of silence hung between us, thick and heavy. "Alex, you're overthinking this. Rings get lost all the time. Maybe he just took it off and forgot it," she said, her tone light but lacking sincerity. "Yeah, maybe," I muttered, unconvinced. "But something about it feels off. It's like there's more to this than just a lost ring." Laura frowned, crossing her arms. "What are you implying?" I leaned closer, lowering my voice. "I'm not implying anything. I just want to know if there's something you're not telling me." Her eyes flashed with irritation. "You're being paranoid. I can't believe you're making this a big deal." I pulled back, hurt flashing across my face. "Laura, I'm just trying to understand. Mike is my best friend, and I'm worried about what's happening. You're acting different, too." "Different? How?" She shot back, her voice sharp, distant. "Like you're hiding something from me," I said, my heart pounding as I pushed forward. "Are you hiding something? Is there something going on between you and Mike?" The air crackled with tension, and for a heartbeat, I thought I saw a flicker of guilt in her eyes. "How can you even think that?" she stammered, her voice rising. "You know I'd never do that to you." "Then what is it?" I demanded, my voice rising in frustration. "You seem too comfortable with all of this." "Because I trust you," she yelled back, her hands clenching into fists. "I can't believe you'd accuse me of cheating. You're acting ridiculous." I took a step back, feeling the weight of her words. "I'm not accusing you of anything, but this whole situation feels wrong. I can't shake the feeling." "You need to let this go, Alex," she said, her voice softening slightly. "Just because Mike had a freak out doesn't mean there's something going on. You're my husband. You should trust me. I sighed, frustration spilling over. I want to trust you, Laura. But I can't ignore the signs. Something is off, and it's tearing me apart. Her expression softened momentarily, but the tension still loomed large. I'm here now. We'll figure it out, okay? I nodded slowly, but deep down, I felt a rift opening between us. As she turned away, I was left staring at her back, knowing that my suspicions were only growing stronger. Over the next few days, I stewed in my thoughts, replaying the argument over and over. Each interaction felt strained, and even the lightest of Laura's laughter felt forced. I felt consumed by the weight of my suspicions, and the more I thought about it, the more convinced I became that something was wrong. Then, just when I thought things couldn't get any more complicated, Mike texted me again, asking if we could meet up. I sensed the impending confrontation, knowing that whatever happened next would change everything. The morning after my confrontation with Laura, the heaviness of betrayal settled like a dark cloud over me. I woke up with a gnawing sense of dread, the betrayal gnashing at my insides. Mike and Laura, two people I trusted most, had shattered my world, and I was left picking up the pieces. I couldn't just sit back and let them get away with it. I needed to take control. The urge for revenge pulsed through me, and I knew I had to act. Over the next few days, I devised a plan, turning my pain into a calculated strategy. The first step was to freeze our joint finances. I called the bank, my heart racing as I spoke to the representative on the other end of the line. Thank you for calling First National Bank. How may I assist you? The cheerful voice chirped. I'd like to freeze my joint account, I said, my voice steady but strained. Of course. May I have your account number? I rattled off the details, feeling a sense of power as I took the first step toward retaliation. Just make sure Laura doesn't have access until further notice. Understood, sir. Is there anything else I can help you with? No, that'll be all. As I hung up, a wave of satisfaction washed over me. I wouldn't allow her to take anything from me, not even a cent. Next, I turned my attention to exposing their affair. I began to reach out to our mutual friends, carefully leaking the details of what I believed was happening. I wanted them to know the truth, to see how deceitful both Mike and Laura had been. One evening, I met up with Sarah, a close friend from college who had been around during some of our best times. We settled into a booth at our favorite pub, the atmosphere buzzing with laughter and music. Hey, Alex. It's been a while, Sarah said, her eyes lighting up as she slid into the booth across from me. Yeah, it has. How've you been? I asked, forcing a smile. Good. Busy with work, but can't complain. So, what's new with you? She asked, stirring her drink. I hesitated, then decided it was now or never. Actually, there's something you should know. It's about Laura and Mike. Her brow furrowed. What about them? I leaned in, lowering my voice. I think they're having an affair. Her eyes widened, disbelief etched across her face. Wait, what? Are you serious? I found Mike's family ring under my bed, I confessed, my heart racing. He was at our place last week, and it didn't make sense. It's just too coincidental. God, that's awful. Are you sure? She asked, concern flooding her features. I confronted Laura about it. She got defensive and started acting strange, I replied, bitterness creeping into my voice. I just have this gut feeling that something is really wrong. Sarah shook her head, clearly upset. I can't believe this. I'll talk to a few people and see what they know. I nodded, grateful for her support. Thanks, Sarah. I just want everyone to know who they really are. As the night went on, I felt a mix of vindication and anger bubbling beneath the surface. I was no longer the victim, I was taking control of my narrative. The next day, I sat in front of my laptop, my mind racing with plans. I needed to gather concrete evidence of Mike's betrayal. I recalled that he had shared his computer screen with me on multiple occasions during work meetings. I could sneak a peek at his emails and messages, and it would only take a little digging. I spent hours meticulously searching through his messages. When I stumbled upon exchanges that were not only flirtatious but also hinted at more intimate meetings, my heart sank. I felt a dark satisfaction wash over me. This was the proof I needed. I saved every screenshot, my fingers trembling as I prepared to confront him. As the sun dipped below the horizon, I shot Mike a text. "Hey, can we meet up tonight? I need to talk." His response came quickly. "Sure, everything okay? Yeah, we'll talk." When he arrived, I had already laid out my plan in my mind. I sat in the living room, every nerve in my body humming with anticipation. Mike walked in, his usual easy smile plastered on his face. "Hey, man. What's up? Take a seat, Mike," I said, keeping my tone even. He hesitated for a moment, then plopped down on the couch. "You look serious. What's going on? Do you really not know?" I asked, my voice low but steady. "What do you mean?" he said, his expression shifting from confusion to concern. "I know about you and Laura," I said, leaning forward, watching the color drain from his face. His eyes widened, and he stammered, "What are you talking about?" "There's nothing going on between us." I pulled out my phone and began scrolling through the screenshots I had taken. "Then explain this," I said, showing him the messages. He froze, his mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. Okay. I can explain, can you? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've been lying to me." "And that ring?" "It was under my bed, Mike," I spat, the words feeling like daggers in the air between us. I didn't mean for it to happen. Laura and I just connected, and it was a mistake. I didn't want to hurt you," he pleaded, desperation creeping into his voice. "You already did," I replied coldly, the anger boiling within me. "And it's not just going to be ignored." "I'm sorry, Alex. I didn't mean for things to get this far," he said, his voice cracking. "Too late for apologies now." "You'll pay for what you did," I warned, my heart racing with a mixture of rage and resolve. I could see the panic setting in as he realized the consequences of his actions. I wasn't just going to sit back and let this slide. No, I was going to make sure that both Mike and Laura faced the fallout of their betrayal. As Mike stammered more excuses, I felt a sense of satisfaction. I was taking control of my life again, and there was no turning back. The groundwork for my revenge was set, and I was ready to watch it unfold. The days that followed my confrontation with Mike felt surreal. I had gathered enough evidence to make both Mike and Laura squirm. The mix of rage and determination coursed through my veins, fueling me with purpose. I could feel the walls closing in around them, and I relished every moment of their impending reckoning. I knew I had to confront Laura one last time. She needed to understand the full extent of her betrayal, and I needed to see the look on her face when she realized how thoroughly I had uncovered the truth. So, I set the stage for our final showdown. One evening, I waited for Laura to return from yoga. I'd taken the day off work, my mind racing with all the evidence I had collected, meticulously organizing my thoughts for what I needed to say. The house was eerily quiet, and the tension in the air was palpable. When she finally walked in, the sun was just beginning to set, casting a golden hue across the living room. "Hey, babe. I'm back," she called, her voice bright and cheery. I turned to face her, my expression serious. "We need to talk." The smile on her face faltered, confusion taking its place. "About what?" I gestured to the couch. "Just sit down. This is important." Her brow furrowed, but she complied, sitting down across from me, her hands clasped in her lap. "You're scaring me. What's going on?" I took a deep breath, summoning my resolve. "I found something, Laura. Something that changes everything." "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. I pulled out my phone and slid it across the coffee table, showing her the screenshots of the messages between her and Mike. "You're not as slick as you think you are." Her eyes widened as she read through the messages, her face turning pale. "Alex, I can explain," she stammered, looking up at me, panic etched in her features. "Explain what?" "How you've been lying to me. How you were flirting with my best friend while I was waiting for you at home." I shot back, my voice rising with each word. "It's not what you think." "I swear," she pleaded, her hands trembling as she clutched the phone. We didn't mean for it to happen. It was just a moment of weakness. A moment of weakness? I echoed, incredulity spilling from my lips. You call this a moment of weakness? You've been betraying me behind my back while pretending everything was fine. Please, just let me explain. You don't understand, she cried, tears filling her eyes. I don't need to understand. You've already made your choice, I replied coldly, feeling a sense of resolve building within me. And now, you'll face the consequences. Consequences? What do you mean? She asked, her voice trembling. I stood up, the adrenaline coursing through me. I've already contacted a few friends about what's been going on. They'll know what kind of people you and Mike really are, I said, pacing the room. And I've frozen our joint accounts. You won't be taking anything from me anymore. You can't do this, she shouted, her voice cracking. You're being irrational. We can work through this. I don't want to work through this, Laura. You've shattered my trust, I said, anger bubbling beneath the surface. And don't think you can play the victim here. You made your choices. She stood up, desperation in her eyes. Alex, please. I love you. We can fix this. We can go to couples therapy. Just give me another chance. You had your chances, I replied, shaking my head. You chose to betray me. I won't just forget that. I never meant to hurt you, she cried, her voice rising to a near scream. Yet here we are, I said, the bitterness sharp on my tongue. You wanted a different life, didn't you? You wanted someone who could make you feel alive, and you chose Mike. You chose betrayal. I was confused, she pleaded. I needed something different, but I didn't mean for it to go this far. Please, Alex, save it, I said, the coldness in my voice like ice. It's too late for apologies. You made your bed, and now you're going to lie in it. At that moment, the front door swung open, and Mike walked in, a casual smile on his face that faltered when he saw the tense atmosphere. Hey, guys. What's going on? I turned to him, fury igniting within me once more. Just discussing your little affair with my wife, Mike. His eyes widened as he took a step back, confusion and guilt washing over his face. What? Alex, it's not what it looks like, really. Because it looks pretty damning to me, I said, my voice low and menacing. Laura, please, he said, turning to her, desperation in his eyes. We can talk about this. We can make it work. I don't want to hear it. I snapped. You're both pathetic. You think this is just going to blow over? You think I'll forget? Alex, we can explain. Mike pleaded, his voice shaky. I don't want your explanations, I replied, feeling the fire burning inside me. You both betrayed me, and now it's time for you to face the music. Laura's eyes darted between us, panic swirling in the air. Alex, please. Let's not do this here. Oh, it's too late for that, I said, steeling myself. You both thought you could play me for a fool. But I have no intentions of letting you walk away without consequences. Consequences? Mike asked, trying to regain some composure. What are you going to do? I leaned in closer, lowering my voice so only they could hear. I have everything I need to expose you to for what you really are. The affair, the lies, the deceit, everyone will know the truth. You wouldn't. Laura cried, horror etched across her face. Watch me, I said, my voice low and deadly. You both have no idea what you've done to me, but now you'll find out just how far I'm willing to go. As the weight of my words settled in the room, I watched their expressions change, panic setting in as they realized the gravity of their situation. This wasn't just about revenge, it was about restoring my sense of self, about reclaiming the life they had tried to take from me. I hope you enjoyed your little affair because it's about to cost you everything, I said, turning away from them. I walked toward the door, leaving them in stunned silence behind me. I felt a sense of freedom wash over me as I stepped out into the cool evening air. I had made my decision, and now there was no turning back. They had chosen betrayal, and I would ensure that they both faced the consequences of their actions.